there, it's Mary here with another book review. I've been reading a lot of books lately. I actually, because I was off on making videos for a while, I have quite a few book reviews in a row. I don't read as quickly as I'd like, so don't think that I'm reading them this fast. It's just that I have a supply of books that I have finished but not reviewed yet for you. So this book review is a book called The Child Finder by Renee Denfeld. This book actually comes out September, does it give me the exact date? September 5th of 2017. So when I'm recording this, it has not officially been out yet. I did already finish it. I, again, had an advanced reading copy. This is what the cover is going to look like when it comes out. This one is about a woman whose job it is, she made it her life's work, to find lost children. Sometimes she finds them alive, and sometimes she doesn't. She obviously prefers to find them alive and to make a happy ending for the family, but not always possible. This one is when she comes into a case for a little girl named Madison Culver, who disappeared 3 years earlier. Now, the story with Madison is she was out with her family. They were looking for a Christmas tree in the woods in Oregon. And it turns out in this national park, it's very common for people to get lost. The trees all look alike. You might go over an edge that you think is solid ground, but it turns out it's just snow and you fall through. Just so many ways that people get misplaced, shall we say, in this national forest. So much so that the ranger is worried about our main character, Naomi, the child finder, because he's worried about her going missing and coming to harm, essentially, in the woods. Now, Naomi, part of the reason she made it her life work is probably because she herself was a missing child. She doesn't really remember her life before being found, but she remembers what happened after. She had a foster home, including a foster brother, which they get very close, and so she's actually grew up in this area of the country, so she can see her family, and that brings out a lot too, because her foster mother's actually dying. So she has that on her, as well as this case. And a case like this is always tough. The parents might blame each other, blame themselves. It can tear a family apart in so many ways. But part of the reason why she does this work, I think. So Madison has been missing for 3 years. Turns out she's not dead, even though that was the big belief. There's a man who lived in the woods up on the upper part of the mountain who did find her. She had frostbite at the time. Yes, there are probably spoilers coming up. So he saved her from the drift. And at that time, Madison Culver started thinking of herself as a person known as Snow Girl, a person brought about from the snow, a snow child. She loved Russian fairy tales, and that is actually a Russian fairy tale about a snow child who is created of snow to keep someone company. So she kind of thinks of herself as this, and it makes sense. She's in kindergarten when she goes missing, so she's very lucky to have come up with this persona to protect herself in a way. So Naomi is checking out a bunch of leads. She goes to the ranger's facility to talk to him, of course, and that's when he's so concerned about her going, and tries to get her to wear a belt whenever she goes out, so that way, if she should get lost in the woods, she can get found by him. Because he actually lost his wife to the woods, who was also a park ranger. So she keeps on not wearing that belt, which frustrates him. But while she's in the ranger's office, she sees all of the missing people posters. And for some reason, it points out this little boy who's been missing for quite some time. But you also see his wife and several other people that have just disappeared. So, like I said, there are spoilers. There are certain things that I wish they had gone into at the end that I feel like they kind of copped out on it, but you probably would have had to have a whole nother book just for that purpose. So, as Naomi's going along, the park ranger asks her on a date, which maybe it's because I'm not into chick lit or something, I don't know. It frustrated me that they decided to put a romance angle in. It's just, I didn't need that. However, there's another romance angle in the book that made more sense to me, which was the one between she and her foster brother, because they did grow to have feelings for each other as more than just brother and sister, but they've never acted on it. And they can. They're not related. It's okay. But she, of course, has fear of commitment and intimacy, it seems like. So, there's that. While she's researching Madison's disappearance, another case comes along. And she doesn't usually take 2 cases at once. But this time she did. And the mother for that child was in jail because they claimed she had killed her child. So Naomi has to solve this puzzle as well. And she does solve it quicker. Much more quickly than the other one. Unfortunately, it was a sad ending. That child did not make it. That's what happened to the kid, was that they found out where the child was, accidentally left behind. Nobody caught it. And so that child was found dead. Madison, however, again, spoiler, does get found. And I like that the book goes back and forth between Naomi's perspective and Madison, aka Snow Girl's perspective. It's interesting because then you're getting to understand how Madison's mind is working while in this situation, as well as how Naomi is trying to work for finding her. So, like I said, she came up with the persona of Snow Girl to deal with what she's going through. Her captor kept her in a basement, most of the time locked up. There are scenes where you kind of know what's going on. You may not understand, but as an adult reading this book, you probably figure out what those sticks are going into her regions at night when she's sleeping. Which is unfortunate that happened, but she found ways to deal. There was, when she was put in the basement, of course, she explored around. There was what she considered a figure 8 written on the wall, but really ended up being a B. We'll find that out later. But she also coped by carving stories or drawings into the wall and the floor, because this is a dirt cellar that she is kept in. Eventually, she gets the trust of her captor enough that he does take her out when he's trapping, or he lets her run outside in the snow and play to some extent. And while they're out doing some trapping sometimes and checking his traps, because that's how he lives essentially, is he hunts and kills mostly through trapping, and he trades the skins for things that he needs at a little store that's further down the mountain, and then eats the meats as well. So that being said, while out with her, even though she didn't fully understand why she was doing it, she would leave little threads tied low on the tree out of his eyesight. And on a subconscious level, she knew it was hoping somebody would find her. But at the same time, she would kind of unconsciously do this. She knew she was tying it, but she couldn't tell you why she was doing that. And she already had a habit of pulling the threads out of her sweaters before coming into this new Snow Girl life. So, eventually Madison does get found. Naomi figures out how to find her. She sees the threads. That was the final clue that she needed to track her down. And she does go up to an old claim that's way up above. The reason... I'm going to give away the ending soon. Very soon I'm giving away the real ending. So, obviously, big to do with the trying to get to the place and fights, etc. the captor trying to just keep them away from taking his snow girl. I don't know if he has a name for her or not. He does not speak, and he actually gets angry if another person speaks. In some ways, that's what Madison kind of looks at her job, is to help him. And I don't know if it's really a Stockholm Syndrome situation or not. She seemed fine with leaving, so it's kind of half of one, half the other. So they do find her, and during the time when they're trying to rescue this little girl, they end up killing the captor. Now, the reason why I feel like they copped out by doing this is because not only was he the perpetrator of this crime, he was also the victim of a very similar crime. There was another man who actually kidnapped him when he was a little boy, and I think he was around the same age as Madison, if I recall correctly, when he went missing. But he was just barely starting to write. Like I said, he was deaf. He couldn't hear or speak. So it's not like he could yell out when somebody was taking him away, when visiting that same store actually with his mother. So he was victimized by someone else, and then grew up, killed his captor, and then found this little girl in the snow, saved her, but at the same time also, even though he treated her better than the person who did it to him did, he still did horrible things. So I kind of wish they had kept him alive just so you could find out how they were going to handle that he was both perpetrator and victim. Now, abuses like this actually are circular, if you didn't know. It actually increases your chances of becoming a child abuser or a pedophile even, if you were abused in that way as a child. So it is a circular thing, and I'm hoping someday we can find a way to stop this cycle and stop it from happening at all to these kids. But every little step, awareness is always a start. So I kind of would have liked to see how they handled that. Would they have put him in an asylum? Would they put him in prison? What would they have done with that? Did he know how much wrong he was doing? All the legalities of that is so intriguing and keeps me questioning, but I was happy that they found her, and I was also happy that Naomi, the child finder, also realized that he was one of the little boys in the missing posters and recognized him. Now, like I said, he couldn't hear, he couldn't speak, he couldn't read lips, but he could recognize shapes of the mouth. And Naomi actually said his name as he was dying, and he apparently felt so good about that because he hadn't seen anybody make that motion with their mouth since his mother. So yes, I gave away the ending, I know, but as I've always said, it's not about the ending, it's about the story in between. I mean, we live in America, chances are they're going to leave it with a happy ending. It's usually the case, but it's bittersweet in a way. So this book, like I said, really good. I really enjoyed it. There is more to it than what I just told you. I'm not going to lie. I know I gave away the ending. Hopefully you didn't watch to the end if you actually didn't, if you cared about not knowing it. But this was a really good book. It kept me going. It was another one of those, I can't wait to read what comes next. I can't wait to find out. So, and yes, I laughed, I cried, you know, the cliches. May not like chick lit much, but I do cry during books a lot of times, if it gives me reason to. Because I start to identify with the characters. I don't know if that's something where more unique to me, that I can identify with all the characters and put myself in their place, or I assume everybody does it, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just like how some people like psychological information, which I like that it goes into the psychology of it, and some don't. Now, mind you, it does actually tell you what happens after Madison is saved. It does give you some insight into that. So I didn't tell you that part, but I told you a lot of the ending. But I hope that you will check out this book. It's really fun to read. Keep on reading. Feel free to comment below on your thoughts and to let me know if there are any other books that you might suggest for me to read, even though I do have a huge pile. But I love to have discussions, love to have some conversations in the comments below. Feel free to like, share, all that jazz of videoing that everybody asks you to do. I do appreciate my audience. I hope that you have a great day, and thank you for watching. Please, be kind to each other. Bye.